This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. We want to start off this episode by looking a little closer at some of the new state laws that have gone into effect after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, specifically the wide range of approaches to having exceptions to the abortion ban. The current abortion bans are generally vague when it comes to making exceptions for the parent's life and health. Some states, like Arkansas or Idaho, allow abortions to protect the parent's life or in a medical emergency. And in about a dozen states, like Alabama or Louisiana, there are no exceptions in cases of rape or incest. It should be noted that this week, the Biden administration sent out guidance to all medical facilities that they must provide an abortion if the life of the pregnant person is at risk. The announcement cites already existing federal law on emergency treatment guidelines. This lack of exceptions in so many states is actually pretty unusual. For decades, about 3/4 of Americans have regularly polled that they believed abortion should be legal in cases of rape or incest. And for nearly a century before Roe, abortion bans around the US included exceptions for saving the pregnant person's life. The exceptions were popular among prominent pro-life politicians and organizations as well. President Ronald Reagan supported exceptions for rape. The 3 Republican presidents after him all indicated their support for similar exceptions. In the 1990s, the National Right to Life Committee even supported legislation with exceptions. The Hyde Amendment, the federal law that stops federal funds from being used to pay for abortions, also has these kinds of exceptions. So how did we get to about a dozen states without any exceptions? Especially given the fact that even today, exceptions are generally favored by the American public. For the states that do have exceptions, especially for rape or incest, there are a lot of questions over how something like that could even be enforced. Newsy correspondent Kat Sandoval joins us to talk more about how enforcing an exception to an abortion ban is actually a much more complex task than lawmakers may realize. And as a warning, this next story will discuss cases of sexual assault.
What do we want? Abortion rights!
Around the country, with Roe versus Wade overturned, protests from both sides. Those who believe that the choice to have an abortion is a right, and those who don't. But there are exceptions from the absolutes in some states looking to end abortion. In some instances, a person pregnant as a result of rape or incest may be allowed to terminate, but proving it may be difficult.
36 days ago, I was raped. It's hard for me to come out with it.
Elizabeth TREBELHORN spoke about her horrifying ordeal at an abortion rights rally in Washington, D.C.
When I was raped, I was so confused. I questioned about how much I wanted to do with this. If I wanted to get the rape kit done, if I wanted to have police involved. I really didn't want any, I just didn't want any of it to have even happened.
Rape survivors like TREBELHORN not only have to deal with the trauma of the assault, but the guilt, blame, and shame that might come along with it. In states like Utah and Mississippi, they would also have to report the assault to authorities in order to obtain an abortion. In South Carolina, doctors would have to report to the local sheriff the name of anyone receiving an abortion under the rape and incest exemption. But rape victims commonly avoid talking to the police. The Rape and Abuse and Incest National Network says 2 out of 3 sexual assaults go unreported.
Being raped is a humiliating thing to happen to anybody.
John Zug was a former Virginia prosecutor who worked alongside sexual assault survivors.
You know, I've never been raped, but I've worked with enough victims to know how terrible that crime is. And the fact is that we are now putting another layer on people who have been victimized by sexual assault to make things more difficult for them.
According to the Guttmacher Institute, a pro-abortion rights research organization, here's how that looks like currently as more states move towards bans.
So there are 26 states where we were anticipating states to ban abortion. And in those 26 states, they passed 41 separate abortion bans. 10 of them have exceptions for rape and incest.
In addition, the World Health Organization calls reporting proof a burden to victims, stating these requirements can result in delays that may push women beyond the legal gestational limit, thereby preventing women from accessing abortion care altogether. In the U.S., abortion due to rape and incest make up roughly 1%, according to the Guttmacher Institute. But part of that low number could be because of the stigma that comes with being a victim.
If they are in that situation, they may not reveal that. They're still dealing with the experience and coming to terms with it.
Still, KRISTAN Hawkins, president of the Students for Life of America, doesn't believe abortion or incest exceptions are valid ones.
We don't believe that your circumstance of conception should determine your value, or that that should determine whether or not you get to live or die.
But even with exceptions, doctors may not want to risk their medical license to perform the procedure. In North Dakota, the director of the Red River Women's Clinic says her doctors prefer their patients to go to a state where abortion is legal than risk the hurdles of obtaining a legal exemption. Kat Sandoval, Newsy, Chicago.